Well, good morning to you once again, everybody. And of course, thank you very much for being here on your era, TT Radio. It's time for Exploring Buddhist Concepts. And of course, this is where we join with Kasi Senghor, who will take us through this particular session. So, Kasi, good morning to you. How are you this morning?
Good morning, Sir Charles. I'm not so sure how to answer that now because
Well, you have mixed feelings this morning.
well, it's a joke. It's a joke. When I listen, sometimes I tell myself I shouldn't really put on the radio before this year. When I hear about what is the issue and what is the non-issue and was the president, or the prime minister before and after and all kind of thing, I want to talk about it now, such as I'm just trying to see if I can.
No, well, that is why they say you have to focus in, right?
You know, that's what I do.
Yeah. So focus in.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm focusing. I just responding on the side to your question about how I doing, okay. Yeah, so yes, I'm all right. I'm ready to go, and I pray that whatever is said here this morning and done here this morning will be of great benefit to all who are listening. And all sentient beings everywhere throughout the land and abroad, and hopefully their listeners interested in Buddhist concepts, not just from an intellectual point of view, but from point of view of practice, which is what I have to do now to establish focus. So I'm going to begin by asking us to join songs. Focus on the coming and going. Also, Charles, have you sung the gong already?
What is that, Kasi?
You sung the gong already?
Yes, I did.
Okay, right. Focus on the coming and going of your breath for a few seconds. Breathe normally without forcing it. With each exhalation, empty yourself of all tension. Pay attention to the sounds around you, whether it's honking horns or birds chirping. Observe them without even watching. Just hear to what there is to listen to as sound. Whether you like or dislike it, focus on the sound quality of what you are hearing. Imagine you are a newborn baby and you have never heard them. Never heard these songs before. Choose a song, constant or intermittent, and concentrate on it for a moment. If you feel any irritation, relax. Choose a distant or faint song and concentrate on it for a moment. At the end, inhale deeply and as you exhale, come back. Stretch your legs and arms. Stand up slowly. You can't stand up slowly because after sitting down here. So this morning I want to talk about the Buddhist concepts or perspective on seeing, knowing, and understanding. And by way of introduction to that, I just want to say that we know that seeing is believing, many of us. The matter of fact, the character says, seeing is believing and non-believers. And we are talking now about the religious realm. I wouldn't even say the spiritual realm, the religious realm, where there are believers and their particular beliefs hold sway, and they would like everyone to believe as they do. And my experience, part of my experience is that if you don't believe as they do, they become very annoyed. And I have lost friendships sometimes, new ones sometimes, old ones, depending on how far things go. Where if I, because I don't believe in the religious sense of the word, some people figure I should be ostracized or there's something wrong with me or committing a big problem or sin or what have you. And this idea of belief sometimes they come in post. When you eventually get to your phone, you see these posters that are telling you about belief in God and God said and that kind of thing. And even though you might say, well, listen, okay, I don't mind that a little bit of that in between. People want to insist that this is how it is and how it should be because they believe it. So conversations about seeing and belief continue to disrupt people's lives because when you come around to religion and spirituality and so on, one of the first questions is do you believe in God? That kind of thing. And I think we have spoken about that on this program a few times before, where the Buddha's responses is global silence, in one instance. And in another instance, the Buddha is saying freedom of thought, allow yourself to be free. And, take it one step at a time, As a matter of fact, the freedom of thought allowed by the Buddha is unheard of elsewhere in the history of religions. I'm reading it. This freedom is necessary because, according to the Buddha, man's emancipation depends on his own realization of truth. He held Emancipation Day at the beginning of August. We're a month away from that. And we have Independence Day a few days ago, which is tantamount, parallel to, combined with, related to emancipation. So one could look at emancipation and independence as very much interconnected. So the freedom of thought allowed by the Buddha is unheard of elsewhere in the history of religions. This freedom is necessary because, according to the Buddha, man's emancipation depends on his own realization of truth and not on the benevolent grace of a God or any external power as a reward for his obedient good behavior. Alright? So that's where Buddhism stands on the question of seeing, on the question of emancipation and of freedom and freedom of thought. So how does a Buddhist relate to that then? Okay, if you're not a believer, so to speak, then what do you do? Well, as a Buddha, as I just read, you depend on your own ability to think things through and to see for yourself. In other words, to know for yourself and also to understand for yourself the way things really are. And when we earlier spoke about the Four Noble Truths, remember this is where we all started off, because that is basic to Buddhism. The Four Noble Truths, where we say there is suffering, there is a cause of suffering, there is an end to suffering, and there's a path towards that end. And that path is called the Noble Eightfold Path. On that path, we have things like right understanding, right effort, right speech, right livelihood, right wisdom. Okay, so mindfulness now is what the Buddhist practitioner uses in order to see what is really going on in front of him. Mindfulness comprises of practices that calm the mind and also open the mind towards what we can see that is to be diligently aware, mindful and attentive with regard to what? One, with regard to the activities of the body. with regard to sensations or feelings, with regard to the activities of mind, and with regard to ideas, thoughts, conceptions, and things. So, in regard to seeing as it relates to right mindfulness, and it says here, the activities of the mind. There are many of us are loath to think. We even want to consider that we are suffering. We don't want to see any of that, and therefore we deny, we try to cover up, we do all manner of things so that we do not see what is really there. What comes to mind is the saying, what does it go again? None so blind as those who refuse to see. None so blind as those who refuse to see. And in this world, as it is at the moment, people are just, many people are like that. They just don't want to see. And therefore, they have agendas that they want you to see, to distract you from what you are doing, and to put in the space, in the atmosphere, the things that they want, so that they could manipulate you, they could manipulate the space, and they could manipulate others. But as Sir Charles was saying in the beginning there, it is necessary for us who know better, who are practicing on the ability to see. We're talking here about religious, spiritual stuff, who are practicing that to be able to focus. So we practice what we call right mindfulness. The practice of concentration on breathing is one of the well-known exercises connected with the body for mental development. Instead of just believing and blind faith, as it is called sometimes, we sit in meditation and we practice for mental development. And it says here that there are several ways of developing attentiveness in relation to the body as modes of meditation. With regard to sensations and feelings, one should be clearly aware of all forms of feelings and sensations, pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral, or how they appear and disappear within oneself. How good it would be, if we could see for ourselves what is really happening to us in terms of body, in terms of speech, and in terms of mind. A trite example, a very easy example about seeing versus believing is, for instance, let us say at the end of a month, you expect salary in the bank. You believe because it has been there or every month prior that it will be there again, but you have not seen it. And when you go, it is not there. And you wonder, well, what has happened? Because this is very vital to your existence, but you're not seeing it. Transfer that now to our religious practices where I am focusing this morning. All right. So you have the blind faith that a thing ought to be as you think it is, that without the external help, without the external father, etc., that there is no salvation. But you have not been able to see it. Although some people will give you evidence for this has happened or that has happened. You have not been able to see it, and therefore you want you can't even invite others to see it, but you invite others only to believe it. When we are able to do practices that enable us to see things as they truly are, then we can begin to ask others to have a look. Concerning the activities of mind, we say, one should be aware whether one's mind is lustful or not, given to hatred or not, deluded or not, distracted or concentrated, etc. So these aspects of seeing, of concentration, of knowing and understanding are everyday things, because during the course of a day, many things turn up, as they say here, see if one's mind is lustful or not. That comes up regularly during the day for many people. Given to hatred or not, that comes up during the course of a day for many people. We get upset very easily. We want to fight. With regard to the lust, we have harassment in the workplace and stuff like that. And in this way, one should be aware of all movements of mind, how they arise and disappear. And that is not something that you're going to do by guess. You're going to be training towards that end. And sitting in meditation is a helpful way. Practicing right mindfulness is a very helpful way for us to see, for us to know, and for us to understand where we are headed. Okay. Now, and also in the seeing, there is intellectual knowledge. Okay, where we can argue from now until thy kingdom come on certain aspects of life, for instance. For instance, like what we were dealing with earlier this morning on the radio there about the Prime Minister's ship and stuff like that. This is just another example of using the intellect to come to a conclusion. Some people have said it's necessary. Some people have said that we need to look at it, the how the fire, etc., etc. But whatever we do, let us remember that seeing is what is going to make the big difference in our lives. Okay? Especially when it comes to our own mind and where we are at, what we are thinking, how we are preparing ourselves for a better life, how we are preparing our children who are about to enter new situations in schools, whether promotion to a new class or entry into a new school. What are we doing? What are we seeing in front of us that we can show to these children that they too can begin to see where we are going in life, so that we can be like a lamp to them, giving them good example, giving them guidance, instead of the regular fear that, of handing over responsibilities. So remember, one of the things that come up very often in a classroom is the question of paying attention. Whether you are a child or adult, the question of paying attention is important. And if we just keep saying the words, but we are not showing ourselves or showing the children how to pay attention, then we're just going around in circles all the time, talking about seeing and understanding and intellectualizing and that sort of thing, without getting us anywhere. So there are different practices. The practice of song, meditation and song, we just did that. There's also the practice, what we call vipassana, which is where we sit to see things as they truly are. And how do we do that? We use what we call a scan. We are scanning the body, we are sitting still, and we are allowing attentiveness and acceptance. Very important in seeing and scanning, acceptance of what is there. Normally, we might, even when we are at the stage of seeing, we do not accept. We still have an inkling of denial, that this is not truly so. But when we scan, as we do in meditation practice, when we practice vipassana, we are asked to accept the sensations that arise in the body moment to moment. And this is where what makes it a big difference between what we do in Buddhism and what is normally practiced elsewhere in religion. Now, coming now to the question of understanding now, I hope that I have dealt somewhat with the question of seeing and the question of knowing. But right understanding, which is one of the steps on the Noble Eightfold Path, is also essential. And right understanding is the understanding of things as they are. And it is the Four Noble Truths that explain things as they really are. Right understanding, therefore, is ultimately reduced to the understanding of the Four Noble Truths. This understanding is the highest wisdom which sees the ultimate reality. Remember that we are seeing, knowing, understanding. For what? Why? We want to attain that ultimate reality. For some, ultimate reality is not a goal. They just want to be able to live a better life. They just want to be able to go and come freely, enjoy peace of mind, and so on and so forth. But for the practitioner who's looking to become enlightened, then a deeper practice and a deeper understanding is necessary. What we generally call understanding is knowledge, an accumulated memory, an intellectual grasping of a subject according to certain given data. This is called knowing accordingly. It is not very deep. Real deep understanding is called penetration, seeing a thing in its true nature without name and label. This penetration is possible only when the mind is free from all impurities and is fully developed through meditation. So, as I conclude today's talk, um, again, the question of meditation always comes in when we are talking about these concepts. Because, as I've said many a time, there is no real use in going around talking about these things on an intellectual basis, where, as was just mentioned, there is a knowing accordingly. We have to penetrate, we have to go more deeply in order for us to know what truly is and what truly matters in our life. Okay, so it is now what time? Now 11:33, and what I should do at this point in time is to maybe I should summarize the things that I've been talking about. Talking about staying, which for me and for Buddhist practitioners is a matter of knowing, of seeing things as they really are. You will hear that phrase over and over again. Seeing things as they truly are, and not in the way that we want to see them, or the way that others want us to see them. But we will begin by, after seeing, we can know for ourselves. So that instead of blind faith, we can talk about experiential seeing. What do I know? What do I understand? And in that regard, there are quite a number of things that we ought to be seeing, knowing, and understanding. We need to see, know, and understanding where our mind is at with regard to the emotions, as was mentioned, towards lust, towards hatred, towards things like greed, and so on. All right. Now, I mentioned these things, and they also strike a nerve for many people because, we are going through life day by day. We are experiencing these things. These things are happening to us, but we are not taking them on really to the extent of wanting to see them in ourselves or to examine to see if they are how much they affect us, how much they go into us, and how much we go into them, and how much our disturbance they cause in our lives and in the lives of others, because things like addiction and so on, terrible situations where we just don't know, what to do, how to get out. Are we going to just simply stand by and allow these things that happen to us over and over, year in, year out, and not be able to take a stand our ground, and take ourselves to a higher level where we can know for sure, well, this is what lust looks like. This is what greed looks like or feels like. This is what jealousy looks like, etc., etc. And these things can only be known through training and practice, meditation, mindfulness, vipassana, as I say, is a particular practice for those things. And these ideas, these practices, these sets of training come out of the Buddhist concept of the Four Noble Truths, which are the last one, the Eightfold Noble Path, which shows us what the right mindfulness is and how to practice it, what the right understanding is and how to practice it, what the right livelihood, right speech, right concentration, and finally, right wisdom is all about. That we are able to practice in spite of the impediments that occur around us, in spite of the instructions that come up within our lives on a day-to-day basis. So I wish to leave it there, unless there are callers, until we close this with Charles.
Yeah. Well, so far we don't, but if you hold on, we could always find out. So people, if you would like to get in on the show to talk with Kasi, ask him a question or get clarity on anything that he has been talking about, you can do so now. So we'll take your calls. The lines, we have a couple more minutes. Let's see if we can take your calls at 281-1315. That's
Beautiful.
281-1315. So Kasi, if the calls come in, I will let you know.
Yeah, that is all right. That's beautiful. Yeah, I'm prepared to take calls. But I already this morning, I already don't want to go into the question of seeing, knowing, and understanding too deeply, because there's a lot of denial and kickback in the atmosphere, which is affecting affecting how we progress in this world at this point in time. One step at a time, as they say. Practice of Buddhism is not an easy one, and we are all asked. But if we really want to get on with it and do something for ourselves meaningful, and we want to maybe join a group or whatever. You can always call to Charles, get my number there, WhatsApp number, and we take it there. Got someone?
Yeah. Caller, good morning. Welcome.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
I just came in, but I saw this. I don't know this gentleman, but I just wanted to know if he has a following or church, or what is he based on. I just saw something about peace. So does he have a church or something, or he's a...
Okay.
No.
Question: do you have anything like a church or anything like that? Yeah, or you could probably explain to what the movement is about.
Okay. Yeah, what is this movement?
Right. Yes, caller. Um, I am representing the group of Buddhists, um, followers of the Buddha, and we have a congregation, a community in Trinidad and Tobago, which is called the Sangha. There is a wider community in the Caribbean, and there's a wider, even wider community internationally. As far as I'm aware, there are about over 500 million Buddhists in the world today. And what we do is...
Okay, and where?
Yeah, go ahead.
Excuse me, but where is it in Trinidad? Where is it?
We're in Trinidad.
Situated?
Yes. Okay, well, with regard to where suppose there's a place where we do something. So what we do is practice meditation. This is how, as I was saying throughout our talk today. This is a main practice there. This is like the thread running through everything we do. Meditation. And the meditation that we do is the meditation that we have been taught to do by the Buddha about 2,500 plus years ago. And so this is what we do. We have what is called a lineage, which is what has been handed down through the years. Of course, there are many branches, as you know, with human nature. This one break off from that one break off, and so on and so forth. But if you wish to look it up, our lineage is called the Kagyu, Kagyu lineage, and it has to do with more with practice than anything else. There's both practice and study, but plenty practice. And yes, we have a place.
I think what she's trying to find out is if there is a particular location,
congregation,
you know, where she can.
I was about to come to that. So as I was saying, yes, we do meet, particularly on Sunday afternoons between 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. in the Stronmaya Estate House in Santa Cruz. Right? We meet there on a Sunday afternoon. Now, I could leave my number or Charles to give it to you.
Yeah, I'll pass Kasi's number on to you, right?
Yeah.
And you can always give him a call.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I could send you a link for when we have our next practice on Sunday coming. But I also want to add that we have, in addition to the Sunday practice, there's a smaller group that meets every morning, Monday to Friday, from 6:30 to 7. We meditate. And then on a Wednesday night, we also have what we call a Dharma talk. So there are a number of activities which we do. We recently had a day retreat at the same estate house in Santa Cruz. And we'll probably have another one before the year is ended. We also have teachers. One of our original teachers passed away last month. And we have two women teachers. One is a nun and one is a lay person. And they were both here this year to train us and guide us and show us the way and so on. So we are pretty active in what we do. We do not go out there proselytizing and trying to convert people and so on. But when people are interested, if I can go back to our topic this morning, when people are interested in seeing, knowing and understanding, we are there for them. And sometimes we say, or I would say often we say, you don't have to be Buddhist to train and practice with us. Because among the first things that I read this morning is that the Buddha has given free rein to thought and has even requested that we examine what is being taught and examine the teachers that are teaching us. So it's not a dogmatic thing. It's not, like, we do this because they say this has to be done and that sort of thing. We work from inside out, um, looking at ourselves and seeing for ourselves. I hope that that answers your question in a large part.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. I'm sure it does, Cassie. But as we go, what you can do is probably, as I said, give people your number for who may be interested, just like her, in where you all meet and days and stuff. So I think that's a good way to move.
So you want me to do that now? To do?
Yeah, if you would like to, and you have a number that you would want to put out there, or if or if you want to, when you come in next week, give a connection number or something. It's always good for people to have a connection number or an email or something that they could connect with you all.
Okay. All right. So my number is 799-8362. 799-8362. And that is also WhatsApp. My email address is Senghor, Senghor 70 at yahoo.com. Senghor 70 at yahoo.com. And we meet on Sunday afternoons, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m., 2 hours really, at the Stallmeyer Estate House in Santa Cruz. Next week, Thursday, we will have the head of the Sangha, that is the community in Trinidad, and you will be able to get the number from him, and you will be able to get some more clarity as to contact. Yeah, that's a chance.
No, sorry about that. Go ahead. I just pressed the
Oh,
wrong thing.
yeah. And so we will next week we have the head of the Sangha, the Buddhist community in Trinidad, or I should say our Buddhist community in Trinidad. And 2 weeks after that, we'll have another member of the executive. You'll be able to get his number also. So by and by, there will be maybe about 4 or so numbers that people can contact to get information as to where to go and what we do, etc., etc. Thank you for asking.
Okay, so Cassie, this is where we're gonna leave it this morning. So thank you very much for being on the inside of the program, and we
Yeah,
look forward to talking to you again next week Thursday.
yeah, well, there'll be another guest on that day.
Okay.
Yes,
May I
Bishop.
be
Thank you very much.
filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be happy. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be happy.
May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be peaceful and at ease.
Advertise with us on New Era TT Radio, the fastest growing streaming platform for talk in Trinidad and Tobago.